Listen to your heart. Your heart is never wrong. Always face the truth. Your heart won't lead you home.
Welcome to Soul Wealth, wealthy conversations that nurture the soul. Get ready for an enlightening conversation that will nurture your soul and help you live your best life. Now, here's your host, Dr. Vicki Johnson.
Welcome to Soul Wealth Radio. I am your host, Dr. Vicki Johnson, and so grateful and excited to be back here on dcradio.gov and 96.3 HD4. Woo! Looking forward to talking to my guest today as she shares some wealthy nuggets that nurture the soul. She went from receptionist to director and has become one of the music industry's most sought-after events and promotions managers. She's dedicated her entire career to the industry, promoted more than dozens of mainstream artists, and built a reputation as a no-nonsense leader that always gets the job done. She is currently an independent consultant that specializes in strategic marketing, event management, and promotions. Prior to consulting, she was the Mid-Atlantic Field Director for Atlantic Records, where she developed successful promotional plans that included public events, private appearances, and media opportunities for 18 years. She provided the label financial oversight of seven-figure marketing budgets and created long-range strategic marketing plans that took no-name artists to household names. She has 25 plus years of music business experience, beginning in the early 90s as a receptionist for MCA Records. They're not even in business anymore. From there, she climbed the ranks to become promotion and marketing director of Soul/MCA Records. In this role, she managed marketing campaigns for such artists as Public Enemy and Digital Planets. In addition to her professional accomplishments, she is a longtime supporter of breast cancer and Alzheimer's awareness initiatives. She currently resides in the Washington, D.C. metro area with her husband, but let's be clear, she's a native New Yorker. Welcome to the Soul Wealth Radio Show. Monique Davis Cary, my sister and friend. How are you?
Hi, Dr. Vicki Johnson. How
Girl,
are you today?
This has been like a long time coming to get you in the hot seat.
Yes.
Because that's where you are today. So excited, Monique. It's just been amazing watching your career and the fact that you have had such a long-term career in what for many is a volatile, short-term industry.
Right.
Really makes you like an enigma, like a puzzle, right? So who is Monique? Share with our listeners who you are first as a woman and a daughter. I know, but I want to share that wisdom with our listeners today.
For me, I am a person that is I play the back position. I like to watch. I like to observe. I don't talk about what I do. I'm very humble about it because I know that I have been blessed to be able to have a long career in an industry that is very, very shaky and is still shaky, but I've been blessed to be around. I am a daughter. I am a friend. Sometimes a spiritual advisor, just depending upon, and I'm a mentor.
That's awesome. What was it like for you? Because your journey is unique all around. Your mother was and is a music industry icon. So that means you literally grew up.
Yes, I literally grew up.
So what was that like for you?
It was fun. It was, of course, as you said, I'm from New York. It was great to see, and I'm sure some of the audience don't know who Frankie Crocker was in New York City. And it was fun to have Frankie Crocker come over to my house when he was dating Jane Kennedy. It was fun to be able to get into spots where that I'm a child and I'm not supposed to be there. Shalimar, Howard Hewitt from back in the day, The Whispers. It's a list, and the list, and the list, and the list. And when I decided to say, okay, I'm going to be in the industry too because I enjoy getting into places for free. I don't have to pay for anything. I don't have to stand in line. My mother was like, no, that's not what I want for you.
Really? She didn't want you to go into the industry where she has found so much success. Did she share why?
She wanted me to do something else because she knew the background of the industry. So she was like, no. So I had to do it on my own.
Wow. That's powerful. That's a powerful recognition and insight to share because frequently I'm sure the assumption is Monique is doing what she's doing because her mother hooked her up when in essence that's really not what happened. You have built your own path, nurtured your own career. And so share with us how did you do that? What were the steps?
I started out at MCA. Now, let me just say this. Don't get me wrong. Having the name and the mother of Sharon Hayward was absolutely a great thing. But again, she didn't want me to be in the industry, so I started out as a receptionist at MCA. From there, I went to be the program assistant in the urban music department at MCA Records. And then from there, I just grew. Hank Shockley needed an assistant and someone to run the promotion rap for him. So I went to Soul Records, but Soul was still a subsidiary of MCA Records. And then from there, I went on. Now, the ironic part is that when I got into heavy promotion and marketing, is that I went to work for Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis's label, Perspective Records, but my mother was the head of the label, which is very interesting. But I still did my own thing. Just because she was the head of the label didn't mean anything. And I remember one time one of my bosses who chastised me for something and said, I bet you went and told your mother. I said, don't ever speak to me like that again. I did not. This is a business, and that's what we're going to take it as such.
That's awesome, Monique. I call her Mo, y'all. I'm trying to stay professional in this conversation. But I remember when we met through NABFEM, shout out to Johnny Walker, and the National Association of Black Female Executives in Music
Johnny
and
Walker.
Entertainment. That is where we met at a summit. Was it in Philadelphia?
I don't know
or
if it was
Chicago.
Philly I think it was Chicago first.
Yeah, it was in Chicago, and I distinctly remember we met in the Sister Circle, wasn't it?
It was
was
the
right
Sister
after
Circle.
the Sister Circle because I learned early in my career in entertainment that women who wanted to be around for a long time needed to stick together.
They needed to stick together, absolutely.
Sisterhood really mattered, not just outside of the workplace, but particularly in this industry where women were so misunderstood, overlooked, passed over, disrespected, condescended to. So as a woman in what has traditionally been a male-dominated industry, what has that journey been like for you, Monique? Because it's not easy. And you make it look easy, let me say, and sometimes I'm sure you've been misunderstood. But what has that journey been like for you as a woman in a male-dominated industry? And it still is today, really. But you've held your own, and it is something to be said for that. What in you has given you the fortitude to do and be that person?
One, let's just say, if you give respect, you get respect. I am not in circles. I have been marching to my own tune for a long time. I'm not a groupie. I'm here to get a job done. This is what we're here to do. And this is the steps that we're going to follow. And this is what we're going to do. Now, a lot of people think that I'm mean, but I'm not mean. I'm just a no-nonsense type of person. When it's time to get the job done, it's time to get the job done. And I think that's very important. I think that I'm not gossiping. I'm not talking about. So if you command respect, I think you get respect. And I think that's what happens. And I think that's what it's been for me for all these years.
Where did your, I'll call it directness, because you have a very direct style of communication, which I'm sure has been a benefit to you in your career. Were you always like that? Because as an only child, which you are, sometimes that is the case, and then other times it's not. And most only children that I know are very direct. Is that because you're an only child, or it's just in your personality makeup?
I think it's a combination. I think one, the saying, you get it from your mama. My mother is a very direct person. I've always been told, say what you mean. There's no other way to do it. Probably from being the only child and just coming out and just saying, this is what it is. Let's not guess. Let's not play any games. That's it.
What inspires you, or who inspires you, or who and what inspires you?
Watching other people get their due, especially women. I like dope women. I give them credit. I think it's important to be able to have people like you.
Thank you,
Because
Monique.
I've watched you throughout the years, and you've also commanded your respect and done the things that you've been able to do and raise your daughter to be a lovely young woman as well. And I think that it's just, I watch my circles. I watch who I hang around. As I've gotten older, I've gotten more spiritual. Angie Gates is one of them, who is the director of the agency. Just a lot of women just around, just kind of, I just watch people.
What drives you? What motivates you? That's inspiration. But what drives you? Which really, that motivation has to come from inside. Motivation is intrinsic, right? Where we are inspired by forces outside of ourselves. But what drives you?
I never really thought about that question. I just know that I want to be the best at what I'm doing. So part of that drive is just within myself to just say, okay, girl, you need to get this. Because I know people are watching. People are watching from afar. People are just watching. And I just think that it's just a drive that I've had since I was a young girl. Like, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to do it. And if it doesn't work, it's okay to make a mistake. You just move on and you move on to the next.
How important is relationship to you? In the industry, outside of the industry, just as a person, because a lot of people are transactional. They engage other people with, what can I get out of this? What's the advantage for me? And then there are those of us who are relational, and relationship means everything. It's a driving force. It's priority. So how important is relationship to you?
Oh, I think especially in the music industry, relationships are very important. I think that if you don't have relationships, you're not going to be able to make it far. I think communication is the key. I think for me, because I'm a promotion person, promotion one-on-one, the things that you do to have to keep a relationship a long time. Like, I give an example, Max, who's a GM. I've known him for a long time, which he knew my mom. My mom worked him. And now look at things come full circle, and we're working together here. So I think relationships are important. I think how you treat people is important. I think that if you're honest with them, they're going to be honest with you.
So basically, you give what you get.
Exactly.
Right? You attract what you reflect. And so the nugget that I'll share here and call it one of your soul wealth tips, in case we get some more, which I expect as we're moving forward, is to be the person that you want to attract into your life, regardless of the context of the relationship, whether it's business, career, romance, be that person. Because I ask people often when they are having a relationship challenge or asking for counsel around relationships, would you want to be in a relationship with you?
That's a good question.
Would you want to be in a relationship with you? Because in essence, that's what's happening. If you want to get a pulse on how you are showing up in the world, then look at the people you spend the most time with. And that's how you're showing up. It's important to be mindful and aware of your relationships. And NAPFEM, again, shout out to Johnny Walker, was a breeding ground for powerful relationships. You mentioned Angie Gates, who's the director here at the Office of Cable Television, Film, Music, and Entertainment, and Creative Affairs.
Right.
But we both met her.
At NAPFEM.
Through NAPFEM. You and I connected through NAPFEM. Some of my best, most powerful relationships came through
From that,
NABFEM. So it really became a model too for me when it comes to sisterhood. That sister circle where you and I met, we met after. And I was mentioning earlier, I remember the day we met after the sister circle, you came to me and you said, "Hey, I'm Monique. What's your name?" I said, "I'm Vicky." You said, "I live in the Maryland area, and I heard you say you're in the DC, Maryland area. We should connect. We should hook up." And it's that simple.
That's simple.
Isn't
But that's
that
funny because
something?
I'm not that person now. That's very funny.
We should connect. You live in the Maryland area. I live in the Maryland area. We should connect. But that really is how
It happens.
authenticity works.
Absolutely. And if it was meant to be, we would have connected as we did and as we have for all these years.
And just as a side note that people don't know, I actually officiated Monique's wedding.
You did.
Because that relationship continued to grow with
Right.
no agenda.
No agenda.
And I think that is so important for those of you who are listening, because you never know when that circle is
Nope.
going to come back around. You never know when you will cross paths again, which is why I live by treating everyone with respect, treating everyone like they're important because they are, and not announcing myself, right, with an entourage or my title, who I know, what I do, because at the end of the day, none of that matters. And there is nothing like crisis or a personal fire to reveal the DNA of your relationships for real.
Oh, absolutely.
There's nothing like it.
To be
Fire
able to-
exposes
All
who's
of
who.
it. Exactly.
So how have you been able to maintain your powerful presence, because you have one, and your integrity in the midst of such a changing industry? It has changed so much from 18, 20, 25 years ago. From 10 years ago, it's very different.
But through it all, I've been the same person.
Listen,
Through it all, I have been the same person.
pause, Mo. Hold on for a minute, Monique. Because people change. That is a powerful nugget. Just be who you are and be consistent. Be consistent, even though the context and the circumstances may change. It is consistency that gets the ship over those rough waters. I'm sorry, that was so good when you said that. Through all of the changes,
All the changes.
I've been the same.
I've been
And
the
how
same.
has that worked for you? Like, talk about that.
It works out. Like I said, people take me wrong. It's interesting. An intern said to me, no, she's not an intern now. She actually has her own show on one of the radio stations. And she said to me, Monique, I met you a long time ago. And I was like, okay. And she said, when I met you, I thought you were mean. She said, but when I sat back and I looked at it, you were about your business. You weren't trying to be everybody's friend. You were just trying to get your interview done. You was trying to make sure that your artist was okay. And that was it. And I said, that's how I roll. I said, after the business is over, and if that's what we're meant to be, then we'll go to the next level. If not, then we'll be associates and say hello and be respectful of one another. And that's it.
That's so good, because in our culture today, people are so influenced by assumptions and appearances and advantage. But that was a good soul wealth tip. Did you all write that down? That's a tweetable. Like in a sea of change, be consistent.
That's it.
Consistency
Consistency
wins.
works. It wins. It works every time.
It wins and it works. I want to ask you this. What has been one of your greatest lessons in life thus far?
What's for you is for you. Can't no one take that away from you. You know what you are capable of doing. For me, I can't look at Joe Schmo. I can't look at the other person because that's their life. That's not my life. I had to learn to be comfortable with my life and not look to someone else's life. I'm like, oh, well, why am I not there? Because that's not where I'm meant to be. That's a lesson.
Where did you get that from? Because that's a good lesson.
talking to myself and listening to other people like yourself and Trinace talk. And, you just kind of sit back, and once you get older, you observe a lot of things and a lot of things that are going on around you. And sometimes you just realize, I got it, God, my bad.
And so everything basically is a blessing or a lesson.
All the time.
And what's for you is for you. That's so interesting that you have that perspective in this industry that can be so...
ruthless sometimes.
Yeah, that's the word.
Mm-hmm.
Ruthless. Like, I am going to get what I want.
By any means necessary.
By any means necessary, even if I have to step on your neck.
Exactly.
When the truth is, you don't have to do any of that because what's for you is for you.
It is. And no one can take that from you. But you have to believe in yourself in order to know that. And these are lessons. These are not things that just come out of nowhere. These are lessons from experience, from life, from everything is a lesson. Even if it's a blessing, it's still a lesson attached to it.
Wow. So there's even lessons in blessings, because we frequently only look for the lesson in failure and then things that don't go right. That is really, really awesome. What are you grateful for?
My life and my family and my mind. And, common sense, because not everybody has it.
That's good, Monique.
No, that's the truth. that is the God-honest truth.
Woo! Common sense ain't common. That's what they used to say. But you said my life so quickly, which touched me because so many people, and we're in this context of the entertainment and music industry. So that's what we're talking about today. But these nuggets really apply to life across the board. So many people who started their careers with us are no longer alive. And that's what I thought about when you said my life. That's what I'm grateful for. Because in this industry, because it can be so ruthless and so much pressure and stress, a lot of people aren't here.
They haven't even made it to 50.
Wow.
And that's some things that you have to look at.
Talk about your practice of maintaining your well-being, your peace. That's crucial because it's easy to do 15, 16-hour days in this industry.
I take mental health days.
Mm-hmm.
I take a lot of time to nurture myself. I go to dinner. I go to the movies. I hang with myself. I've gotten to know myself. I know what I like, what I dislike, what I'm going to stand for, what I'm not going to stand for. I go to the spa. I think self-wealth is very important. And that's one of the things that you teach.
Yeah, so wealth. So wealth. And you love the pool.
And I love the pool. I don't like the ocean. I like to look into the ocean,
Monique
but I love
loves the pool. But all of that is important. Self-care is not selfish. No. Self-care is self-love. And self-preservation really is necessary. It's mandatory. It's not even an option anymore because people will take from you whatever they can if you're not mindful and careful of that.
And how are you going to be okay for anybody else? For your job, for your personal life, for your relationship, for your friends, if you're not okay? I don't understand how that's even how is it going to work?
Good stuff, Monique. This is yummy. Share a moment that changed your life, or two moments.
One, Barry White was living. We were in D.C., and we're in a limo driving through D.C. There was just certain parts. And he stops. He said, limo driver, stop. So I'm like, okay, what's the matter? I'm like getting ready to go into my work mode because I was chilling for a second. And he saw some homeless people, and he reached down in his pocket and just gave them $100. Just gave it to them. Here you go, here you go, here you go. And I'm thinking, what? He didn't have to do that. He didn't have to stop. He did. And I was like, wow, you have to give in order to receive. That was a moment for me that I was just like, look at this man. He's powerful. He's got some money. And look what he did out of his day that he didn't have to do. And I think the moment for me was just so much about don't be selfish because God giveth and he taketh away. And at any given moment,
it can be
taken away.
Real talk.
Yes.
That's awesome.
So I had to learn how to, because, everything, all the lessons are learned. Sometimes you're selfish. Sometimes you're like, I'm good. I don't want to do, you're just like, no. I had to learn to give of your time, of your space. And I also learned, one of the things I learned is that everything is not about me. It's about the other person. I'm not a hugger. But sometimes I realize that it's not about me and the hugging. It's about the other person.
Yeah.
And that's a lesson I had to learn.
So sometimes you have to put your preferences to the side to be a blessing to someone else. But the Barry White story, that's really awesome because I'm sure for the people that he blessed that day, it was like a dinosaur imprint, if you will. Like, he sees me. And who knows if they even recognized who he was.
And there was no press around. It wasn't, It was something that generally came from his heart.
No social media.
No social media, no none of that. Nope.
That's awesome. That really is phenomenal. As we're winding down, I have a couple more questions for you. What do you do outside of your career? What else does Monique like and love to do?
Help people, mentor, and travel. I am a spa person. I am a pool person. I believe that you should go see the world because there are so many beautiful things in it. And I think we don't really take the time to smell the flowers like we should. But then when are we going to smell them?
If you are working all the time, when are you going to smell the flowers? That's true. That is so powerful. Monique, you're pretty deep.
I am. People don't know it because I don't share myself like this.
This is great. What legacy do you want to leave?
That she was respectful, honest, and loyal.
Wow. Respectful, honest, and loyal. That's great. You do a lot of work in the nonprofit sector. I know you're a board member for Real Women.
Yes.
And you definitely have not only put your money where your mouth is, you've put your energy and your time, and your love really on display. And it's a beautiful thing. And I am so grateful that you said yes to join me today here on the Soul Wealth Radio Show. Any last words that you want to share with our listeners today?
Be the best that you can be. It doesn't matter where you're working. It doesn't matter what you're doing. Just be the best that you can be. And be truthful to yourself. Be truthful and honest to yourself because that makes a world of difference.
It really does. And I want to also just celebrate the fact that you've taken all of your years of success and created your own company and you're moving forward to lead. That also is a legacy that I want to highlight for you. Where people who are listening may want to get in touch with you, how can they find you?
They can do it on my Instagram. It's at Mo Diddy, Ditty 55.
Thank you, Monique.
Thank you, Dr.
Monique
Vicki Johnson.
Davis Cary, for joining me today here on the Soul Wealth Radio Show. I am your host, Dr. Vicki Johnson. Please visit my website, VickiJohnson.com, VIKKI, Johnson.com. You can also pick up my book, Soul Wealth, Finding Vision, Compassion, Authenticity, and Abundance in the Midst of Chaos. Listen, Soul Wealth is your birthright. So get up, go out into the world, live full so you can die empty. Until next time, here on dcradio.gov and 96.3 HD4. Peace.
You've been listening to Soul Wealth, wealthy conversations that nurture the soul with Dr. Vicki Johnson. Soul Wealth is not just a brand, it's a lifestyle of vision, compassion, authenticity, abundance, and legacy created one conversation, one choice at a time. For more information, visit VickiJohnson.com or click on Soul Wealth at dcradio.gov.